All right, how's everyone doing? I am Rich CELENZA. Thanks for checking out the Rich CELENZA show. So what I'm going to call this podcast is Acknowledge Your Failures. And I know a lot of times when people talk about helping others, it's about kind of leaving the past in the past and look forward to the future, right? I get it. I talk about that all the time. And not also getting caught up with your past failures. Kind of like fail forward, I call it, because I don't care who you are for the most part, you're not going to always succeed in life, especially if you take on a lot of different endeavors or take a lot of risks or chances or invest in different things. That includes money or your time. It could be relationships. Nothing for the most part is a guarantee. So you're going to most likely have fails. No one goes unscathed, I believe, throughout life. But what I do think sometimes what we're missing is kind of just thinking about at certain times why we failed at what we were trying to accomplish. Because I think a lot of times, and I'm like one of these people where if I fail at something or I don't get what I want out of it, I kind of jump forward to something else or something maybe new or something similar, but I just keep kind of moving forward. And then I find myself maybe in the future failing again. And, and then maybe in the future again, failing at something else. And I think a lot of us go through this. But instead of ignoring it lately, I've been kind of going back and saying, wow, man, I've done a lot of things. And not everything I've done got to the level where I wanted it to get to. Now, did I fail? And I've discussed this before on my podcast. I don't think a lot of times I failed because I succeeded or I accomplished or I finished what I wanted to go after. But did I always get it to the level that I wanted to? No. But again, sometimes there are these unrealistic expectations of things that we're doing that we think are going to be a lot bigger or a lot more successful than they really are. And I think when it came to me just kind of doing my own research on myself, it's, sometimes we do things and we fail at them because we don't take the time to really figure out the right way to do things. And sometimes there's also no right or wrong way to do things. You just, for some reason, some people, it just varies, is what I should say. Because one person may do something and it works for them, and somebody else does the exact same thing, and for some reason it doesn't work for them. I talk a lot about that in life, that you got to kind of figure out your own way, your own path, because everybody else lives an entirely different life. I don't care if I went out and started from scratch to Tom Brady's workout routines and was a quarterback. I can assure you my career wouldn't have been his career, right? The odds of that are probably in the billions. So I'm just using him for an example. You got to figure out your own way. But back to kind of learning about your failures, and I'm going to really talk about relationships here to wrap it up, because I do think so many people have failed relationships. It could be boyfriend, girlfriends. It could be if you got engaged, married, divorced, all these things. And a lot of times I discuss it. You want to blame other people. You don't want to take responsibility for your behavior. But if you are having problems, meeting women, a lot of times I'm talking to men here, but women as well. If you're having problems a lot of times meeting others, right? Why does this happen? Why do you keep failing? You can't always just pretend that the past didn't exist. But I don't want you to dwell on it either, but kind of really go back and maybe even talk to the people that you failed with. And that could be even projects too, I should say. Like it could include work. It could include friendships like that ended that you didn't want to end. Sometimes you just got to go back and address certain things and figure out why. Why didn't it work out? Also, a lot of times things may have not worked out because of not just behavior, but because you didn't understand certain things at that point in time. And it's kind of a hindsight thing, but I'm not going to get into that. But I just want to do a podcast on this because I think a lot of us, when it comes to failing, either dwell on it for too long or kind of ignore it. But I do think there's kind of a middle there. And you're really going to learn, I think, a lot about yourself when you address your failures sometimes. And again, that doesn't mean dwell on them. And, sometimes that's just life in general. Again, I believe we're all going to fail at certain things in our life. No one's perfect, but something to just think about. I'm keeping these podcasts a lot shorter. So that's all I got for you today. If you got any questions or comments, hit me up, richcelenza.com. I have a program, Mastering Self-Confidence, where I try to help men build their confidence, and I also help them with real estate. I've been around my buddies who sell real estate all the time. Relationship advice is what I should say. And a lot of times, we go through these things where guys, even if they're not married or, just dating different women, it just never seems to work out. And I go through a lot of what I think should be addressed when that happens. And this is one of the things that kind of I've been thinking about. I don't actually have it in the program. So I like to also mention things that I'm learning as well. So, all right. Take care, and I wish everyone the best.